Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Cox. I'm a member of the Netcapital team. Let's allow one moment for everyone to settle in. Thanks.
So I don't know who has a cooler virtual background here between Tim and Eric. Where would you rather be?
Depends on what you want to do.
And then Seymour, definitely with the brightness. I appreciate that. It's really cool. Very sharp.
Jason's is in a void. I'm in a. This is actually. There's a little story behind this. Near where we live, there's an old packaging factory, Nabisco packaging factory. It was shut down, disused for 2 decades, turned into a big art, amazing sculpture gallery. And they have big spaces like this. And we had our products made into sculptures in a big empty space. That's how this came about. Well, it's all just in 3D software. You know, so.
Well, it looks like they're continuing to trickle in, but why don't we go ahead and dive on in and get started again. Thank you so much for everybody for joining us. I'm very excited about today's event, celebrating Reg CF's increase of the maximum investment or maximum fund raised from 1 million to 5 million. We have some superstar entrepreneurs here to speak about their fundraisers in the past and maybe potentially fundraisers in the future as well. But before we dive too deeply in, I'd love to welcome in the rest of our panelists here. And so please come on in and I'll just go kind of left to right on my screen here. So Tim, why don't you come on in and tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about Orbital Assembly.
Absolutely, and thanks for having us today, Eric. Very excited for Netcapital and your help in getting us to this point. So I'm the COO and Vice President of Habitat Design for Orbital Assembly Corporation. I'm a licensed architect, and we are the first large-scale space construction company. We are getting ready to demonstrate some of our ground-based machines, and we're going to build a football field length of truss in less than 90 minutes coming up here in hopefully a couple of weeks. A couple of things are falling into line here. But we're working to build what's over here over my shoulder here, the Voyager space station, which will be the first space station with artificial gravity. And really excited to be part of the Netcapital call today. So thanks, Eric.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tim. And then continuing along, Seymour, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're building at Magfast?
Hey, Eric. Yeah, my name is Seymour Segnit. I'm the sort of founder, inventor, CEO of Magfast. Magfast is very much kind of down to earth compared with my CEO colleagues here today who are thinking on this kind of enormous sort of interstellar scale. We're making just a consumer product. Everybody has these cell phones, these devices. Many of us have multiples of them. We charge them multiple times a day. But chargers in general aren't very good. Nobody loves their charger. A lot of people love their iPhone or whatever, their Samsung. Very few people love their charger. So we've just come up with a family of chargers for mobile devices, super premium, super high quality. They're going to last much longer. And they have this beautiful little trick that I might show you when my time comes, which is that they snap together magnetically. So we're just trying to make, in the consumer electronic space, something that's delightful in an area that is not currently delightful. And we've been lucky enough that a bunch of people have pre-ordered and we're going into production shortly now.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Seymour. And continuing with the kind of big idea theme here, Robert, why don't you come on in and tell us about yourself and Teague and the rest of the EnergyX team and what you're building there?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone. I'm Robert, the VP of Business Development at EnergyX. We are a new renewable energy company with an interesting spin on the battery storage market. We have a lithium extraction technology that we are looking to apply in order to increase the recovery of these necessary lithium minerals that are the main component of the batteries and what's going to be the infrastructure for our new EV space. So I'm excited to dive into the company further and be here with everyone today. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks, Robert. We're going to skip right past Jason. No, I'm kidding. Jason, why don't you come on in, bring us home, tell us a little bit about yourself and Netcapital, and then I'm actually going to start with the first question to you.
Of course. Thanks, Eric. And thanks, Tim, Seymour, Robert, for being here today. We're super excited to put this event on. You know, we have 3 companies that have just been extremely successful at leveraging these new tools that are put in place to help companies, you know, accomplish their fundraising goals and help people invest in companies and own equity in companies that they're really passionate about. And I'm the founder and CEO of Netcapital. You know, I started the business to accomplish these goals, right? I mean, we want to make it as easy as possible for anybody to invest in companies that they care about. And that's what we're doing here. We're really excited to see that come to fruition, and really excited to see Tim and Robert and Seymour use these tools and these new regulations and our technology and the platform to the fullest of their capabilities. And, you know, the fullest of the capabilities just got even fuller, you know, because we increased the limit from 1 million to 5 million. That's going to open up the door for so much more opportunity for Netcapital, for these entrepreneurs, and for lots of other investors and entrepreneurs in the space. So we're really excited about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we certainly are. And it's a very exciting time to be a member of the Netcapital team. Jason, again, sticking with you, you know, how has the overwhelming growth in Reg CF investments compared to the expectations, compared to your expectations going into 2020?
Well, I mean, look, I mean, we're in the midst of 2 pretty big thematic changes in the world, or in our world. I mean, one is the pandemic, right? And that's made it, you know, it's changed the way people do business. It's made it so that it's, you know, you're not meeting face to face with investors as often. It's not quite so easy to just fly to Sand Hill Road and go door to door to venture firms. You know, the angel group meetups that have been happening twice a month for the last 20 years aren't happening anymore. And so entrepreneurs need a place to close investors digitally, and investors need a place to interact with companies and transact with companies that they want to in a way from their homes. And that's what Netcapital really, at its core, that's what we help companies and investors do. So, I mean, and then obviously the SEC amendments that increased the limit from 1 to 5 million has brought some attention to the space. And, you know, companies that, you know, we've worked with in the past, like the 3 here on the call, and other companies around, you know, the country and the world that, you know, are taking notice that, hey, this is a tool in my toolkit as an entrepreneur that I need to know about, right? Because $5 million every 12 months, that moves the needle for a lot of private companies. I mean, that's some serious capital. And this is an ability for you to raise capital in a way that's, it's just different. It's more integrated. I mean, you'll hear from entrepreneurs who are actually doing it, but, you know, there's something really fulfilling about doing activities that help you raise capital, but also help you run your business, and also help you market your product, and also help you build a community, and also help you engage with your user base and your customer base. I mean, there's a lot of added benefit that comes in addition to capital raising that you facilitate when you do a raise in this sort of format. So we've been really pleased with the growth so far. I mean, the space is still really young. I mean, there's so much space for us to grow. So we're just excited, and it really all comes down to working with awesome entrepreneurs. And we've been fortunate to work with EnergyX, Magfast, and Orbital, who teach us new things about our own process every day.
Absolutely. And for those who aren't aware, 48 million raised across the space in February of this year alone, and that was more than all of 2016. So we're seeing kind of a tectonic shift in the amount of capital that's being allocated in this fashion. So very, very exciting time. Robert, I want to welcome you in here for this next question. So curious, what factors made you choose to fundraise through an online platform rather than a traditional path? I know EnergyX is raised across traditional institutions, and I know TIG is raised across traditional institutions for multiple companies in the past. Why the platform? Why this time?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, to your point, TIG and the EnergyX group, we've really taken kind of a 2-pronged approach to how we were raising capital. One, as you'd mentioned, through some institutional investors for our Series A, but kind of to Jason's point, over the pandemic, the usual VC roadshow through Silicon Valley, Sand Hill Road, et cetera, wasn't necessarily the fastest process to raising capital. And through ease of crowdsourcing, Netcapital just doing a great job at supporting the small businesses here in raising through their platform. It was just kind of a no-brainer to get access to quick capital in the $1 million range for our Series A. This was around 10% of our initial raise. So it, again, it was just a quick, easy raise to the financing, and it really helped in that lull period of the pandemic. Not to mention, it gives us access to a whole new world of investors that are maybe not in the institutional realm, but still have interest in investing and supporting our renewable infrastructure and what we're trying to build at EnergyX. So it really allowed us to get the small investors involved in what we're trying to build.
Yeah, no, it's great to hear that. And you're talking about quick and easy, and Seymour, you really made it look quick and easy. On Thanksgiving, you sold out your raise in less than a day. What made your offering so successful?
I'm glad we made it look quick and easy. And Robert, I'm glad it was easy for you guys. I mean, I think that we did the work to make it easy on the day. Three sort of critical pieces. One is a long-standing relationship with our customers. I stood in front of this green screen in 2017 and originally proposed to a smaller mailing list at the time the idea for Magfast to just make these delightful chargers that are going to need a lot of lithium in them, by the way. Robert, the sooner you guys can help get our battery prices down, the better. Because, by the way, I don't know if everybody, probably this group is, but I don't know if everybody watching is aware. There's bedlam in the global supply chain at the moment because of coming back out of COVID. I mean, real major systemic problems right across the globe. Companies large and small. I read yesterday Ford is slowing down production of certain vehicles because they can't get the chips. I mean, like really kind of a big deal. Samsung, I think, has cancelled a new product introduction because of it. So major challenges up and down the supply chain. Anyway, we first introduced our product a few years ago. We've been pre-selling as we've been working on it, and rather than just offering a pre-order and then kind of going quiet, we have most weeks we have done a small video presentation. Not a big deal, normally just an idea, and I pop in front of the camera and chat about it for a bit. But it means that over that time, the customers, the pre-order customers who've been following us, they've kind of divided into the camps who kind of like us and those who want to hear no more from us because it's already been too much. But of the people who like what we're doing, when it came time to say, you know, there's going to be an opportunity to invest in Magfast, they were listening. You guys were listening because I know many of them are joining us for this presentation, for this meeting today. So we nurtured our customers and the people on the mailing list for a while. Then when it came time to do the raise, we didn't just send out an email once it was available. We actually opened on Thanksgiving, but a week before Thanksgiving, we did a big presentation. And about 3 or 4 or 5 weeks before that, we started telling people that the presentation was coming up. So we said, look, we've got a big surprise. And we didn't say what was going to be. We always, when we do a big presentation, we always say we've got something exciting for you. It could be a new product, could be some big announcement. So we did this accelerated build up to the big presentation itself. We took a lot of care over the presentation. I'm talking, probably hundreds of hours, me personally, over time, building up what's the story, what's the narrative. I think a mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make on the crowdfunding platforms I see a lot is they're just going on about how great their products are. That's nice and everything, but there also needs to be a bit of a business case as well. And then some other folks are so into the business case for their business, they're not really getting people excited about the product. And I think finding that space where it's kind of like, we're really excited about the products, but we think there's an exciting story for the business too. Then we try to be very honest about, don't invest $1 you can't afford to lose, because really nobody should ever put a money into any of our companies here that they can't afford to lose. This is high risk, high returns kind of category of investing, and you should consult your investment professional before doing anything like this. And then when we did the big presentation, we still didn't open the doors. We said, we're going to be opening 1 week from today. Let's make sure you're ready. You need time to think about it. Please read all of the materials. and we did one or two little videos. Here's how to invest. You know, on the day when the doors are open, you're going to click here. It's going to be, so you probably want to have, you know, so we tried to just set it up so that if this is right for you, then we'd love it if you would join us. And then we did a crazy thing, which is we opened at 4 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. Because my theory was it'll only take people a couple of minutes, but they'll remember when it is. And yeah, we kept your IT team busy, I think, for a couple of hours on the day, didn't we? Didn't we, gentlemen?
A little bit.
But yeah, it was very busy. We're incredibly flattered. But I think having some fun with it is important. Having a few secrets to share is important, and spending the time planning it out. I think again in the industry, because obviously everyone in the room here has done rather well. So whatever you did was great. But I think if I'm advising other people who are thinking of coming into it, really take the time to plan out the arc. What are you going to say? When are you going to say it? How many communications will there be? And then put some real effort into that communication, that invitation to.
Yeah, absolutely, Seymour. And I know you built a really strong community for years, and that was a big piece of your success. And Tim, community was a huge piece of the way that Orbital Assembly was able to have success as well. So, you know, question for you: were you surprised by how eager your community was to buy equity in your business?
Absolutely. I mean, we like Seymour was saying, we have a large support base. A lot of people have been really excited about what we're doing and have been following our plans and our progress very closely. And we've been receiving emails and inquiries from people for years wondering how they could invest. And Netcapital gave us the tools and the ability to open that up to them. But we still didn't really know how receptive they were going to be. You know, somebody saying they want to invest, you know, what does that translate to? And just like Seymour, we put in a lot of legwork, a lot of effort leading up to our official launch. And we launched with a virtual event where we had our board and a lot of our advisors come on. And just like Seymour did, we pitched our product and what we wanted to do, and then also talked about the business case and our roadmap for getting there. And we didn't have quite the same success as Seymour. It took us a whole week to sell out, but still, that was way faster than we thought. Honestly, we weren't sure if we'd get to the $1 million mark at the end of the initial time period, which is coming up on April 1st. And you know, by early February, it was all done. So yeah, our supporters, just like Seymour said, we've been trying to keep them informed and interact with them, and you know, having that support base really exceeded our expectations.
It's great to hear. And I do want to remind all the participants, and it's great to have so many of you on the line here. We do have a Q&A filter feature built into chat. Please feel free to do that. I'm going to go through a couple more questions, but then towards the end, we do want to keep this as interactive as possible. So please come on in, continue to send those questions. I look forward to bringing those up to the panelists. You know, back to you, Robert. You mentioned earlier that, you know, so many people got excited and involved, and it wasn't just the capital that was a value add for you. So, you know, aside from the capital, because $1 million, you know, speaks for itself on the value that creates for you. But how do you expect that having 1,000+ new investor, shareholder, advisors will support your company growing going forward?
Oh, I mean, it's as valuable as the $1 million. Like you said, it's having an extra couple thousand cheerleaders supporting you along your journey. They have skin in the game, but they also, you know, are investing in you for a purpose. We're in the renewable energy sustainability space. It's a very passion-driven community, and being able to allow the smaller investor that has the same passion, if not more, towards making an impact through their investing into our world, and allow them to take a slice of the pie and be our backers, especially when looking into our future of exploring public markets and expanding our business in the public sphere. Having that extra couple thousands of cheerleaders behind you, really supporting you, it just adds validity to your group, but it also adds a community that is intangible, you know. And I think that's one of the main reasons that Teague has really had interest in us applying a portion of our capital raise to the crowdsourcing and crowdfunding world, was primarily to build this community around us. Again, the renewable energy and sustainability space is a very passion-driven environment, and to have all those value-add supporters on our end is something that we just think is as valuable, if not more, than that couple extra $1 million worth of raise.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear, and that is kind of a theme that we're hearing across the board from our issuers, and we love that support and that community, and be able to get extra value add outside of the commodity that is capital. So I really appreciate that. We alluded to it earlier, and Jason mentioned it. I think we'd be remiss not to talk about, excuse me, 2020 was an anomalous year, and it was difficult for so many reasons, and there were some silver linings. But I'd love to bring Seymour back in. Can you tell us, how did the pandemic affect your fundraising strategy, and do you think it makes digital fundraising a more significant part of the company toolkit, even as we're pulling out of the pandemic a little bit?
Yeah, I think we were very fortunate that our strengths played well into the pandemic. My heart goes out to entrepreneurs, many of them small businesses up and down, around the world, who've just been wiped out by COVID. And I think it's, whenever COVID comes up, it's always worth pausing for a second to kind of remember that it's been very, very, very rough for a lot of people. And we try to kind of remember that we've been fortunate. We were already virtual anyway. We already had our team spread out, so we were already in Zoom. We knew what Zoom was before it was a verb in the language. And we've always been, our strength has always been talking about what we're doing to regular people, rather than having the best CFO chat for venture capitalists or more traditional money sources. So this was always a better place for us to play anyway. 20 years ago when I first came over, I'm American by birth, but I was raised in the UK. When I first came over to America, I actually did the kind of going up and down Sand Hill Road, the famous road in Silicon Valley where many of the venture capitalists congregate. And I found it kind of exhausting and sort of just disheartening a lot of the time. Whereas I find talking to regular people about what we're doing kind of rather amazing. And so it played to our strengths anyway. But I think that what we've all discovered in the pandemic is that a lot of things that we thought had to be done directly can be done very effectively virtually. I don't think there's any total return to where we were before. And I would encourage, I think the shift that's going on at the moment as we move, because this meeting was gathered by you guys because of this recent change in the rules, that essentially any small business can now raise up to $5 million from regular people. And there's a lot of regular people watching this. That's a very, very significant shift. If your dream is to open, a small chain of coffee shops, but it's going to take $2 million to do it, you can do that. If you can hustle, you can now raise that. You can now raise that money. It hasn't been allowed for almost 100 years to do that. And you don't have to know how to talk to bankers and and people who are calculating internal rate of return for some $16 billion fund in Silicon Valley. If you can talk to regular people and articulate your vision, it is possible. So it's very exciting, I think, and I think it's important to shout out what a fantastic job Netcapital are doing within this field. You guys have really carved out a niche of actually looking after customers really well. I think a lot of the others they're just concerned only with the numbers, whereas you guys have done a fantastic job of looking after. I'm sure my colleagues here would agree, of looking after your client companies when they're trying to raise money and making it possible for us to shine. I was just going to do one more thing. I checked beforehand if it was okay to do this. I just put the little, where is it? All in the mirror. Go.magfast.com. If anyone wants to just see what we're doing more closely, and if we do another raise in the future and you're interested to see how we do it, the mailing list up there, you could see the emails and how we do the build up. So anyone who wants to raise money for their own company, you can just see what we do and model it if you would like. Yeah.
That was incredibly helpful. You kind of reinvigorated me and my passion for the space. And like yourself, I was virtual before it was cool, as part of the Netcapital team headquartered in Boston. But I see Jason came off mute, so I'd love to welcome you in if you wanted to add something to that.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I think that Seymour made a really interesting point, and Robert actually touched on it earlier too, which is like one of the themes that I think this path of fundraising has afforded entrepreneurs is a little bit more control over their fundraising. You know, as an entrepreneur myself, founder, CEO, like, you know, I've raised capital from all of, you know, the potential avenues. And, you know, sometimes you just feel a little at the whim of a decision maker, and it's not always really clear. The feedback loop isn't always obvious. You don't really know what you're missing or how to improve or how you can, like, what you can do better or what you can do differently so that I can solve my need. And this gives entrepreneurs just a different path to go down. And a lot of the tools and the skills that you need to be successful in raising capital this way are very different, you know, but raising capital is still hard, you know, like Seymour said, Eric, when you said he made it look easy. It's never easy. I mean, it's never easy because, and it all comes down to the fundamentals of your business, right? I mean, step one, build a great business that people want to care about and want to invest in and want to own equity in. If you've accomplished that step, every other step, regardless of your path, becomes a lot easier. But what I like about, you know, the path that Netcapital or the space in general has set out is it feels a little more clear on like what activity can I do as a business? Like how can I really like put some elbow grease in to accomplish my fundraising goals? How can I build excitement? How can I build community? How can I get the word out there? It's real, you know, when it comes down to it, selling your securities is just like selling any other product. And it's just a marketing plan, you know? I mean, you're selling your stock, or you're selling your lithium batteries, or you're selling your magnetic chargers, or you're selling a trip to a hotel in space. I mean, or you're selling shares. So, you know, you can use a lot of those general marketing, you know, tactics to, you know, get the word out there and make people excited about buying your shares. And, you know, there's such high demand these days from retail, you know, investors, average investors, and learning about innovation and how can I invest in innovation? How can I get involved? How can I invest? How can I participate? And this is the great way to do that.
I wholeheartedly agree. You know, I think there's so many exciting things that this has afforded, and it's just one more avenue. But yeah, so the key, starting off building a great business makes everything easier from there. So it's been a pleasure to work with the three of you and the rest of our issuers on the platform as well. You know, keeping the party going here, Tim. I know your fundraise is technically still open, although sold out, and it was open when the regs updated. But do you remember what your reaction was when you first learned about the SEC rule change, increasing the yearly limit from 1 million to 5 million?
Well, in a way, it was a bit of relief because we hit our goal in a week, and we still had just thousands of people who are wanting to invest. And we're still getting emails every day from people wanting to know, when are we going to reopen the round? When are we going to open it up more? And for a space startup, it's very capital intense. Those first couple of years, there's just a lot of capital needed before we can start to show significant progress. And right now we're working on our first orbital machine, which you know, is in development, but just to cover the launch costs are going to exceed that $1 million cap. And so when they announced the $5 million raise, that was like gave us all a bit of a breather, because when we are able to open up again and get everything in line with you guys, that's going to give us quite a bit of runway and be able to show some significant progress. And at that point, you know, things will start to accelerate quite quickly. So for us, it was a game changer, honestly.
Oh, very exciting. And I love seeing the Q&A in the chat active. They're excited. They're grateful for the opportunity to have invested in the past, hopeful for an opportunity to invest in the future. So we're going to get to those in just a moment. But before I transition over to that, I do want to let everybody know, I'm seeing some questions come in about, will this recording be available? And the answer is yes. I did add a link to the Netcapital YouTube account. This is being recorded, and you can definitely share that generously and get more people to know about the good word of not just these three companies, but other great companies on the site. So yes, this is being recorded and will be available. Coming to close to the halfway mark, I do want to make sure that we have time for questions from the audience. So kind of bringing us home here, Jason, we're coming up on the 5-year anniversary of when the Jobs Act allow this type of fundraise to happen, to allow for general solicitation, and to allow for retail investors, non-accredited investors, to be able to invest in early stage companies. 5 years in, 5 years from now, where do you see the industry going from here?
Time flies, 5 years. It's crazy. It's crazy, but it still feels so new. I mean, the securities industry moves slow. So 5 years in this world is nothing, So I mean, I'm extremely encouraged, not just by the amendment to the rules, right, that increased from 1 to 5 million. Like Tim said, it's a game changer, because like $1 million every 12 months is really vital to a lot of businesses. And we work with, a gamut of companies. It's not always, super capital intensive companies like Orbital Assembly is. There are companies that $60,000 makes a really significant difference. But there's a lot of companies where, 5 million is a whole different ballgame than 1 million in terms of how that impacts the runway and what a company can do. So I'm really encouraged by that. I'm really encouraged just in general by the community of investors. And obviously, there was the GameStop saga and, NFTs and blockchain going back to 2017 with ICOs. I mean, there's so many examples of rabid enthusiasm about investing in innovation. And there's nothing quite like equity, and that's why we've always stayed, true to equity, because at the end of the day, when you invest in Magfast, you're getting equity in Magfast. When you invest in EnergyX, you're getting equity in EnergyX if you do it through Netcapital. So, we feel like there's a ton of signal in the space that this is a very good place to be as an investor. It's a very good place to be as an entrepreneur. I think 5 years from now, we're just going to keep growing. I view this as a very important, like I said this a few times, tool in an entrepreneur's toolkit. It's not right for every company, of course, nothing is, but it's something that I think every entrepreneur should understand, that, hey, I can now accomplish my fundraising goals online. And how would I do that? And how does that fit into the capital structure mix of my business? And how can I use that to the full effect? How can I generate all the advantages that come with that? Is that a fit for me now? Is it a fit for me later? I think that especially in the next 5 years, I think that's what we're going to start seeing, that it's going to be a very commonplace for entrepreneurs to start understanding where this fits in their capital structure. But for me, I just love to see it, because we started Netcapital to democratize access to investments, democratize access to opportunity, and this is fairly new, but it's part of the reason why Netcapital Inc. is now public, and many of you might not even know that, but we went public because we wanted to have a chance to interact with retail investors as well. Our ticker symbol is NCPL, and it's a new exciting thing, and we're really happy about that. And I'm along for the ride, pushing as hard as I can to try to make this available to all entrepreneurs and all investors who want to participate in this space. We're a facilitator, and we just want to be there connecting everybody as best we can.
Yeah, absolutely. That is an important piece of our puzzle, and we're excited about recent technological developments, and of course the ticker and being available for retail investors. It was kind of a weird dichotomy when people would invest in our companies and ask how to invest in Netcapital. And we didn't have a great answer for that. So it is really exciting that the retail investors can come along for our journey as well. So this is great. Thank you so much for, again, more and more participants coming in and staying with us is phenomenal. A lot of the themes that are coming through that I'm looking through in the chat and the Q&A are really kind of interested for those who are willing to share, if there might be an opportunity to invest again. And so I know again that there are a handful of people that you should go to their websites, you should sign up for their newsletters, you should obviously go to netcapital.com and create an account for information about these companies and other companies. So definitely keep your eyes and ears open, and hopefully we'll be able to have more and more opportunities for you to invest in phenomenal companies and phenomenal entrepreneurs like these. That being said, Seymour, there's questions coming in specifically. They've been following you through the whole journey. They were so excited for the opportunity to get involved. And can you talk a little bit about what that journey pre-raising capital looked like? How did you build a phenomenal company and build a community that got everybody excited? And I know I think it's phenomenal that you're willing to share kind of some of the secret sauce and how you engaged your community. Loved it. A lot of people want to hear more about that. So can you tell the people who are considering doing fundraisers like this?
Sure. I think, so we said at the very beginning, we'll give you regular updates along the journey. We didn't realize the journey would be as long. But I sort of feel like at the very beginning, I made two commitments. One is, we will make these things great or die trying, right? Because there's obviously this uncertainty at the beginning of a venture, and we'll keep you up to date. And as we've got, as the thing has taken much longer than expected, because we made some mistakes, we made some mistakes along the way. And I mean, COVID hasn't helped, but it's not a main driver. Well, we made some mistakes, and then it just turned out that, as I think most entrepreneurs find, it's harder than you think. Whatever it is you're doing, it's harder than you think. If you're doing the little network of coffee shops, there's all sorts of local regulations you never knew were going to kind of come and punch you in the face. Oh, you can't have your tables at that height. What do you mean? I've just had 200 custom tables made at the perfect height. Oh, no, not in our town. You don't know what's coming down the pike. So we hit a bunch of problems along the way. And what we've tried to do, without being Debbie Downers, is to keep people in touch with everything along the way. And we do this most weeks. We do an update. We branded it a few months ago. We call it the upgrade from Magfast, with a little logo and everything. But essentially, it's just showing up and talking about something most weeks. 1 week at the beginning of the pandemic, I'm in a little room here with a couple of lights and a green thing behind me. I just wandered around with my phone. I said, look, we're all stuck at home. Well, here's how here's the little area we're going to be talking to you from. People go, oh, that's nice. So it builds the relationship a little bit. Another week, we'll talk about, we'll show video from the factory, as you might expect. Recently, we've been showing, the tooling is underway for making these products. I said I'd snap out one of the products. Here's the basic everyday one. The charger fits beautifully into the palm of your hand, has a tiny little built-in cable there, and you just place your phone directly on it, instantly starts to charge. And they all snap together magnetically. So here's, excuse me. It's a demo, so it had to go slightly wrong. So here's the one you carry around with you every day. Here's the one that is beautiful on your desk. And we've got 5 or 6 of them, and they all snap together in different combinations, minimizing the number of cables that you have to carry around. So we're very excited at the moment that after this long journey, we're finally making the tools for the first couple of products. We've been showing video of that from the factory. But the truth is, I feel like if you're authentic and you just show up and you're friendly with your tribe, with your crowd, with your followers, if you just show up and talk about something that's to do with the business or even related to the business, that relationship is the thing that will carry you through. We were recording it one week, and I actually heard the cat in the distance a minute ago. It probably wasn't loud enough for you, but she came in here and started crying. So then, what do we do? Well, we just roll with it and go, oh, so the relationship. I mean, I've sort of recently, this sounds a bit lofty, but I've sort of concluded that relationships are sort of the secret to life. Because if you've got a good relationship with someone, they'll do anything to help you and you'll do anything to help them. And if you don't have a good relationship, when the going gets tough, things are a little more difficult. So we've tried to nurture that relationship all the way along the way. And so if there was sort of one secret to it, I think it's just show up, be straightforward, be honest, have some fun, and if nothing else, whatever the end of the journey is like, it will have been more enjoyable along the way.
That's a beautiful sentiment, Seymour. I appreciate that. And Tim, I see that you updated your name. You are still Tim, but do you have the domain there ready? So I want to draw attention to that. We can get people to orbitalassembly.com where they can learn more information and, of course, join, become part of the family. And Tim, relationships have been a critical part of your journey as well. And the different groups that have been super excited about space and the exploration of space. Can you talk a little bit about how you engage with them and maybe the feedback that they were having? I know I spoke at one of your events and people were hyper excited about what you're building.
Right. Well, I think people are at the heart of our company. So we are a space construction company and we're building machines and robots. But the whole goal of that is because we want people, the average everyday people like are watching this call, to be able to have the option of going to space and make it accessible to more than just the couple hundred people that have gone to space over the last 50 years. And so, yeah, we engage with people. We are passionate about space, like a lot of our followers. And so we've done a number of video updates through the years, as well as emails. And we're now trying to get more engaged with social media and give more immediate feedback. And we recognize, especially after our funding round, just the importance of our community and the people that, like us, are passionate about having the option of going to space one day. And I think Seymour said it really well. You know, it's those relationships. You know, we have people who want to work with us, who want to go to the station, who want to invest. Everybody has something they can contribute, and building those relationships and working together as a group is exponentially more powerful than just a small team trying to do it in a warehouse somewhere. So yeah, that engagement and that connectivity is key to success in business.
I believe that's certainly correct. And Jason, we are getting some questions about some of the other updates to the regs, including that maximum investment increase. But before I bring you in to share about that, Robert, you know, Tim just mentioned social media, and I know Teague and the EnergyX team took a pretty thoughtful approach to engaging through social media. Can you share with the participants here about that strategy and how that operated?
Yeah, that's a Teague Egan initiative, full-hearted. Teague has a huge social media presence, and a few months back, around our first capital raise here with Netcapital, went on a couple podcasts, popular podcasts, to do a Tesla car giveaway, where we gave a couple of, I think they were Model 3s away. Turned out to be really successful. We saw insane traffic on our website, and it really sparked interest on the Netcapital raise, just a complete spike, if you will, in the chart. So really drove engagement. And from there, we've taken a pretty aggressive approach at using our social media platforms to engage with you all and everyone that's interested in our company, our followers. And we feel that it's a great means to give information and news updates to our company in kind of a softer manner than posting newsly reports on our kind of news portal on our website. I think it drives a little bit more engagement. It stays a little bit more top of phone. And to, again, the point of our previous capital raise in Netcapital, we saw tremendous growth just from one podcast alone that Teague went on. So just really have been taking an aggressive social media approach, if you will.
Absolutely. And I see a couple more questions. I know I'm bringing Jason in to talk about the updates to the regs with regards to maximum investments, but there's also questions about how do I join and fundraise for my startup through Netcapital. And so please do not hesitate to reach out, netcapital.com, and you can actually start to create an application, and our team will reach out to you, or you can reach out to me directly. And I'll make sure that everybody that is a participant will have my contact info. We could talk about the Netcapital process and thinking if this is a good part of your fundraising strategy.
And study what others have done, right? Study the three of us. Please. Look across Netcapital for other companies that you like and admire, and Netcapital's competitors, and look and see who's doing well. You know, I don't think we did anything original. We just collected together good things we saw smarter people doing.
Well, and we did that same thing because we came after Magfast. So Seymour, we watched what you did and we tried to take the best parts of that and do it for our race. So yeah, we all learn and help each other.
If we helped in any way, I'm thrilled.
Just one big happy family here. I love that. But I don't want to lose track of this question here. Jason, there are other updates in the regs, one of which is also the maximum investment increase, where now it's the greater of income and net worth rather than the lesser of income and net worth. Can you talk a little bit about how that impacts potential investors into these startups?
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought I was going to see Robert and Teague in like a tag team WWE match against Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. I don't know why that didn't come to fruition, but you know, anyways, I mean, it's one of the beautiful things about these three businesses is you took very different tacks to be extremely successful at accomplishing a similar goal. So you are, you know, that's one of the reasons why we were so excited to do this event, because it's such a, you know, very different companies, very different strategies, all very successful at accomplishing this goal and using these tools to be successful. The new rules, yeah, I mean, the way that the SEC framed it is they're harmonizing the securities exemptions, trying to make things a little more streamlined for investors and entrepreneurs alike. One of the things that was a little tricky for some investors to understand is to invest, you have to provide your yearly income and your net worth. And then your limit is calculated by the regulators based on the lesser of those two numbers. So, you know, if you have a high net worth, but you just don't have a high income right now, we as the funding portal, you know, we're registered, we're members of FINRA, et cetera. We have to rely on the lower number. With these new rule changes, in addition to increasing the limit to 5 million, we can also now rely on the greater of those two numbers, which should make things a little bit easier for investors to sort of follow and understand. But, you know, I saw a few other questions come in about like fees and how to invest. It's free to invest for now. There's no fees charged to an investor. If you invest $1,000, you get $1,000 worth of shares in whatever company you choose to invest in. Our relationship, our business model is with the companies. You know, we work out an arrangement with the company. But for investors, it's you know, just a service for you to invest in companies where you want to own equity. And that's what Netcapital is about.
Yep, absolutely. That's critically important. Yep. And we make it as easy as we possibly can. So you can invest with debit or credit card or ACH or wire. We want to meet you where you are. And so with a few clicks, you can invest in companies, phenomenal companies just like this. You know, a whole bunch more companies questions are coming in. A lot of them are company specific, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too much. What we do want to talk about is the industry shift and different things that are coming down the pipeline. So I know a couple of the companies have alluded to potential fundraisers down the line. That's what everybody keeps asking. So I'm just going to keep saying it. We do hope that more allocation in these companies will continue to become available. And yes, we do work with different stages of companies. So I think Jason mentioned, you know, the earlier company that just needs $60,000. We're comfortable working with them as well. And now on to larger and more established companies really pursuing the full 5 million. So we are still happy to, you know, we've had companies, one of my favorite stories are companies that come on for their first 100,000 and then come back for their next million. And hopefully will go on to come back for the 5 after that. So of course you do not have to participate with us once you start down the line. But we're happy to kind of be there at, you know, however we fit in as each step of your fundraise and as your needs change as you grow. They're asking, are we going to give a brief walkthrough of the fundraising program and strategies, Jason? But I think the best way to do that would be to either circle back to this recording or go through and see what these companies have done effectively. I think each of them have provided their domains, and of course, EnergyX is EnergyX.com. And of course, you can go to netcapital.com and see the way some of our issuers are engaging as well. But Jason, I feel like you had some thoughts on that.
Well, I think that's a good question. Tim or Seymour or Robert, any of you want to just sort of from your perspective, like, you know, from first meeting with Netcapital to actually getting live on the platform, I think is the question. From your perspective, if one of you want to jump in, could you share a little details, you know, on what that was like for you and how, was it difficult? Was it, you know, was there more or less than you expected?
Yeah, I can maybe tackle that one. The process was actually a lot simpler and smoother than we thought. You know, going into this, we weren't sure exactly what to expect. We'd already had our business plan and prospectus and all of our financial data together. I think the one delay was we just had to kind of format that for the website, and then we had to get, well, I guess 2 delays. The other one was we had to get all of our financials certified. Now we have to go through an audit process under the new raise part, but the financial part, you know, we have it all together. It's just getting the CPA to process that. And so Netcapital made it really easy. We had some onboarding calls, talked with a number of members of the team about all the different aspects about how to promote and how to get it listed and regulatory compliance. Netcapital walked us through step by step. And there was, if we had any questions, we just sent you an email and you responded back within a few minutes. And it was incredibly easy and seamless. And then the bulk of our effort, like others have said, was then reaching out to our community and getting the word out there. And so the regulatory side and the process side with Netcapital was fairly straightforward.
I love to hear that. And Tim, I didn't work with you specifically on getting you guys listed, but I mean, when we started Netcapital, that was the goal. Like, there's so much drudgery in the fundraising process, paperwork and compliance and, you know, things that isn't really what the entrepreneur needs to be focusing on. You need to be focusing on building excitement, like getting people to want to buy your stock and getting your word out there and, you know, building energy and momentum around your business. And that was always our goal was, you know, we can never take that off of your plate because nobody can talk about Orbital Assembly better than you, Tim. Nobody can talk about EnergyX better than you, Robert, and nobody can talk about Magfast better than you, Seymour. That's not our job, but our job is to take everything else off your plate as best as we can, or at least hold your hand and do it together. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, just one caveat on that is, like I said at the beginning, we already had a business plan and our prospectus, and we had some graphics together. So if you're a really new company and you haven't thought about all those aspects of what you're doing with your company, I would probably recommend doing that first before you approach Netcapital. But once you have that in place, then it's step by step.
Yep.
Phenomenal. That's what we love to hear. And of course, we want to be there, kind of every step of the way from there too, helping you with any ongoing reporting, with that financial review. Obviously, we have a strong team of third-party partners around us as well that can support in different capacities. And I do see questions coming about international companies. One of the requirements under the Jobs Act is that the company does have to be a U.S. entity. But we could talk about ways to set up U.S. entities leveraging our third-party partners as well. And then there's been an ongoing theme about marketing here. So maybe, Robert, I'd love to welcome you back in. Can you talk about kind of marketing strategies and, without going you don't have to go too deep into the nitty gritty, can you talk about your experience working with the Netcapital Advisors team? I know there's some great digital marketing assets that you've built and created, and you worked with our internal partners with the digital marketing strategy. So Robert, can you talk to that a little bit?
Oh yeah, Netcapital has been a great resource in terms of turning out the appropriate marketing on a weekly basis that really has driven the page views and traction that we're looking for in this capital raise. Weekly calls, diligence from ideas on how to market, ideas on how to put together kind of pieces and informational, if you will. Netcapital is a great resource just on a weekly basis. They really support you, not just on the capital raise, but as a company that helps you grow your startup. I know Teague has been heavily involved with some of the Netcapital team on a weekly basis, putting together various pieces for the Netcapital website, for links to our website, and just marketing around kind of how we are selling anything from share price to kind of how we're just going to general market on the initial outlay. So Netcapital has been everything to us in supporting on the marketing side.
I want to give a huge shout out to Lily. She runs our newsletter engagement. You talk about that kind of, all sorts of applause coming in. I think that's kind of a unanimous sentiment that she's the superstar that not only organizes these Zoom events, but also really engages with our investor base phenomenally well. And of course, you mentioned team members that work closely with Teague, and that would be Tom Smith. And then of course, our entire investor relations team for anybody who's having trouble investing or wants to better understand the investor process. That's led by Chris Salina. So we have there's a couple of Netcapitalists up here right now, but there's a whole slew of phenomenal team members supporting behind the scenes. I'm going to give them a ton of credit right now as well. As we're winding down, I always say this, I'm pretty old school. I like to have closing remarks. And so, with the last couple of minutes here, I'd love to welcome the three CEOs to come in and give us a closing remarks about, anything you'd like to share towards the end, why the investment opportunity made sense for you. And maybe even if you want to allude to potential future fundraisers, that's completely up to you. But I guess we'll just go in reverse order of how we started before. So I know you just spoke, Robert, but I'd love to welcome you back in to give us a little closing remark, and we'll keep going from there.
Yeah. So to allude, we're excited to work with Netcapital going forward on this additional capital raise that we have access to now. Very excited to continue to build. We'll raise capital, but really to build our community and continue to add thousands of y'all to our backing into our investment group. Right now we're in a really interesting phase of building our lithium extraction technology into modular pilot phase projects. And we're on a pretty steep timeline here to get these pilots in the ground over the next couple of months, and are really excited for the growth that we're going to have towards the end of the year here. So just really exciting times here at EnergyX, and we're excited to have the opportunity to hopefully bring more of y'all on board and back us here going forward.
Thank you so much for that, Robert. And Tim, what do you want to closing remarks for Orbital Assembly?
Well, just once again, thanks for having us on here today. I really appreciate being here with EnergyX and Magfast. Yeah, Orbital Assembly, likewise, we're pushing ahead. I mean, with this last funding round, we are full speed, and we're going to have our demonstration of our truss building machine here very shortly, and we're in full-on design mode for our first orbital hardware, which we're going to build a large 40-meter diameter truss that we're going to spin up and create the first artificial gravity in orbit, and that's going to be rolling out here in the next couple of years. So just a lot of exciting things on the horizon. And if you want to know more, go to orbitalassembly.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all the different social media platforms, YouTube. And just a big thank you to our supporters who are on this call today. And we look forward to opening up the next wave of investment here, hopefully very soon. And just keep going at Astra.
That's great. Thanks, Tim. Bring us home, Seymour, and then Jason, if you want to say anything as well.
Yeah. Tim, you just said it. It's the thank you to our kind of our supporters. We would be nowhere without you. You guys are truly incredible. As to a future raise, we never announce anything until we announce it. If we were ever to raise capital again, if you were on the mailing list I'm still pointing in the wrong place, go.magfast.com. If you join the mailing list there, if we were ever, it's very unlikely, but if we were ever to raise money again in the future, you'd know about it by being on that mailing list. And I just wanted to give a shout out to entrepreneurs watching. It's been being an entrepreneur will never be easy. Most businesses statistically will not be successful, but you'll learn a hell of a lot and have a hell of a lot of fun. And these days, I think with the kinds of opportunities to raise capital that are afforded to us by the new legislation and by Netcapital and Jason, Eric, and the amazing team there, your dream is possible. Just move carefully, think carefully, study what other people have done carefully. And a friend of mine who's an entrepreneur gave me a very good bit of advice early on. When you've got an idea for a company, if you can describe it to people and they go, wow, that's amazing, rather than yeah, good luck with that one. In other words, if you can, you both need an idea that people can be amazed by, and you need to be able to articulate it in a little bit of an amazing way. And that's something that all three companies here have done successfully. We're only making chargers, but a lot of people use chargers every day. We've managed to articulate that. Going out and living and building in space, that's pretty bloody exciting. And the driest of the three, which is lithium extraction, but the entire future of mankind is going to be based on battery technology. What's at the core of battery technology? It's lithium. And so if you can increase, I'm just speaking from what I've read from your materials, but if you can massively increase the efficiency of extracting lithium, it's a massive game changer. So you need to be able to articulate, you need to have something good, and you need to be able to articulate it. If you can get people excited about the little group of a dozen or 2 dozen coffee shops and have their eyes opening, then you'll be able to raise capital in this way, and the future is very, very bright indeed.
Beautiful, beautiful. Good luck following that, Jason.
Well, hey, I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to have Tim, Robert, Seymour, Magfast, EnergyX, and Orbital. The one thing that's consistent across these three companies is we were just blown away by the support from all of your communities. What great investors. And I've just been, I don't know if you all have the chat up, but it's just like ping, 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 ping. I love the engagement, the enthusiasm from this group of investors. That is what we're building here. It's so inspiring. I've been inspired by each of the three of your companies every day. That's all we're striving to do. And, that's why we started Netcapital, and I'm just so glad to see it in action. And so we're right up at 2 o'clock. We even did this on time. And I welcome all the supporters. Check us out at NCPL. That's a question we get all the time, is how can I invest in Netcapital? And now you can. So that's exciting too. But Eric, take us home.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all of our participants. It was so great. I appreciate the engagement. Thanks for keeping it interactive with the questions. And of course, I'd like to thank each of these founders, Tim, Robert, Seymour, and the great companies behind them, Magfast, EnergyX, and Orbital Assembly. And of course, I'd like to thank our fearless leader, Jason Frischman, for running the Netcapital ship here. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you all. Please enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.